So to get to this shift in our mindsets, what does that mean? That means disrupting the trends and the technologies. Um, you know, as humans, we discover something new every single day. So we have to learn how to shift our mindsets to be able to keep up with these new discoveries, to keep up with the trends. For example, I'm not gonna lie. The social media applications that we have today, it's kind of like overwhelming because there's so many of them. Um, and if I stay away from them, that's just a good example of how I could miss an opportunity. Um, so, for example, on LinkedIn, if I'm not familiar with that platform because it may be overwhelming, maybe I missed an opportunity, right? So we have to learn how to completely flip our approach in the way that we think. So that means that we need to address our fear of uncertainty and avoid, we have to move from avoiding change. We have to move from punishing failures. And again, I go back to the whole school situation, and it even happens at work, right? If you don't do well, it's like, okay, you'll be reprimanded for that. But why? Why are we not treating that as an opportunity to learn? Um, and directing, moving away from directing control. Like if you're working on an agile team, on a scrum team, on a Kanban team, doesn't matter, whatever team you're working on, it's okay to delegate. It's okay to empower your team members to take those tasks on instead of directing that control. Um, you know, you you want to move away from working in silos because we can accomplish so much more together rather than working in silos. And so we have to move to embracing uncertainty. Um, we have to be open to change. So, if that we as humans, we have evolved, right? So if we had not evolved, we wouldn't be where we are today. We wouldn't have the technologies we have today. We wouldn't have access to the healthcare that we have today. So we have to be open to welcome change. Otherwise, we as humans, we can't evolve. It's important that we celebrate failure as an opportunity to learn, and perhaps maybe even think about replacing failure with not yet, or replacing failure with opportunity. We need to encourage growth, not just within our teams, but also encourage yourself. Sometimes you're not going to have someone around that's going to hold your hand and tell you, "Hey, you can do this. Hey, you can take this on." You got to be able to encourage yourself to grow, and put people first. You're working on a team. It's important to think of the team as a whole. I was working with I'll tell you a story. I was working at an energy company with an agile team. Well, they weren't quite an agile team. They were using traditional project management practices, and they were working in silos. And you have the developer and the QA person, and they were working in silos. And there was the traditional handoff process. Like, okay, I'm done. Here you go. See you later. I said, that's not going to work. We have to think about how can we improve this, because if we're working together and we're helping each other achieve our goals, we can accomplish so much more. So what I did was, we had new folks join the Scrum team. We became a Scrum team. I trained them. They're a Scrum team. So we had these new developers come on board, and we had one lead developer, Naveen, and I said, "Hey, Naveen, what do you think about pair programming?" And he's like, "I don't want to do it." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "I just think it's a waste of time." And I explained to him the benefits of pair programming, and how it can also help the new developers get up to speed, and we can accomplish more together. We can improve our velocity. We can get established as a team. and he really did not want to do it. So I let it go, and a sprint went by. And so the next sprint, I came to him again. I'm like, hey, can we, what are you thinking about this? You don't have to do all the work. You can share the workload. You can improve your work life balance. You don't have to be here working late. So finally, he was like, okay. And I'm like, okay, cool. Because, we only have something to gain here. And this isn't a situation where I'm going to ask you to do this and this is fixed in stone. If you don't like it, we'll have to do it again. But the cool thing was that after the sprint ended, not only did he liked it, but he appreciated it. And this actually became standard with the team. And this kind of leads to the collaboration piece because um, along with them growing as developers and learning from one another, I also coach them to help out our QA person. Because again, we're not going to be in a situation to where you're developing, oh, I'm done, here you go, see ya. And sometimes, our QA person would have a pretty decent amount of stuff to test. And so one day I said, hey, what do you guys think about helping him out with testing? And they're like, oh, I don't do that. I'm like, can you learn? And they thought about it and they was like, well, yeah. And even though their primary skill set was developing code, you know how to test your code. So maybe partner with this person to learn how you can help him out. And that was it, that evolved, right? So it evolved from this this developer working by himself and not really wanting to share the workload, share the knowledge, to them working together consistently. That led to them helping out the QA person. That led to the QA person learning how to code with the developers. That led to the developers learning, partnering with our automation person to learn how to automate things. So um I just wanted to share that with you because it's amazing, like working with the team and seeing them go from this traditional silo, and I'm going to do this myself because I want to be in control of this success, to now this team is working together. And one more thing I'll share with you guys before I move on. There was one time we had a developer that was working late. I was about to leave, and so one of the other guys was like, "Hey, what are you working on?" And he told him, and he was like, "Okay, hey guys, let's come help him so we can get him out of here." That's incredible, and that doesn't happen with I. It happens with we. It happens with as a team. So in order to make that shift happen, there's a lot of things that you have to think about. If you continue with your same thought process, you're going to get the same results. So we need to, in order to make this shift, we have to start thinking about how do we make that happen. So evaluating what is our current state in your organization, whether it's corporate, you're at school, you're at corporations, or even at school. So we have to evaluate what is our current state. Um, Understand and set your vision, make it visible so that everyone's on the same page with what the vision is. Empower yourself, because again, sometimes you're not going to have someone there to empower you, so you have to be able to empower yourself and empower people around you. Prioritize what matters most, focusing on people over you know traditional processes, being able to embrace change, and being able to remove barriers that will keep you from moving forward.